Elon Musk cried after seeing your picture, "Don't look at what happened. Please don't try to ignore it." Archangel Michael says, "Your picture was not an accident on a screen, it was a signal that crossed rooms, continents, and guarded hearts. It was not the angle or the light but the truth inside your eyes that made the moment unskippable. Heaven watched a human heart remember its softness. He did not expect to feel it, not like this, not today. The day was scheduled down to the minute, yet a single image broke the grid. When a spirit is ready, even steel hears a song." They handed him a device covered with fingerprints from a dozen busy hands. He looked for a second, then another, and the third second lasted an eternity. The room noticed the silence before anyone noticed the tears. In that instant 1,000 decisions rearranged themselves like stars returning to a forgotten constellation. Meetings shifted, doors paused, words that used to matter lost their importance. The orbit of a day changed because the orbit of a heart changed. You were not there to see it, but your presence arrived anyway. The image carried your breath, your history, your stubborn hope. It was enough to tip courage over the edge. Archangel Michael says, "Some moments come like a lightning strike that leaves warmth instead of ash." This was one of them, and your picture was the conductor. He had learned to be relentless, you taught him to be tender. In that room, someone reached for a tissue with hands that usually reached for contracts. Another person swallowed a question because the answer stood in front of them with wet eyes. Something in the air whispered that this was the meeting that mattered. He did not cry because you were weak. He cried because he recognized himself, the childhood ache, the corridor of nights awake. He remembered why breakthrough exists at all. An assistant tried to move the agenda forward and could not. The page looked empty even though it was full. A decision appeared that had never been typed in any calendar: protect the spark that still believes. A call went out to a foundation that used to wait until Friday. Friday became now, and now became a pledge. Numbers were not the headline, the courage behind them was. There was a file with your name, not because you asked for it but because the moment demanded it. It was titled with a phrase none of them had used before: the picture that reminds us. They placed it at the front of the work, where every eye would have to pass. News did not break, it healed. There were no flashing sirens, only a quiet readiness settling into exhausted souls. The right people began to move without asking for applause. A message drafted itself in his head long before the keyboard appeared. It was not a speech, it was a promise. He promised to build where others only browse. You felt something in your chest around the same time, a warm pressure like a hand that does not weigh you down. It was the sound of a door you prayed for, unlocking from the other side. You did not yet know which hallway it opened, only that the latch surrendered. The photo they saw carried your fight. It carried the nights you told yourself you would last one more hour. It carried the morning you chose light, though nobody clapped. He looked up at the ceiling to stop the tears and let them fall anyway. A strong person learns that tears are not a leak, they are a language. He spoke it fluently for the first time in a while. Archangel Michael says, "Heaven studies the way people respond to tenderness more than the way they recite power." Today the test was passable by softness alone. Your picture was the teacher everyone needed. Word traveled without headlines. It traveled along the quiet wires that connect the right hearts. It reached builders, dreamers, and the ones who make sure the lights stay on. A designer who had been stuck on a problem suddenly saw the missing line. A coder writing through burnout found breath again between brackets. A manager replaced a demand with an invitation and watched a team stand taller. He asked for a room with fewer chairs and more windows. They opened the glass to let in August air, and the city sent its heartbeat. He said, "This is what we are building for," and it sounded like memory more than strategy. Your picture did not make him different, it let him be entirely himself. The part of him that stares at the sky met the part that kneels at the ground. Both agreed that progress is a promise to people, not a trophy. Calls went out to places where the internet fails and dreams often do. The plan bent toward faces instead of charts. The budget learned new arithmetic: multiply by mercy, divide by delay. You are not a spectator of this story. You are the reason it exists at all. The seed is in your pocket, and the garden has been waiting. There is a threshold only you can cross. On this side are the years you survived, on the other side is the life you came to live. The hinge is tiny and golden, and it swings when you choose. Archangel Michael says, "I have watched your doubt argue with your destiny." Doubt has many exhibits, but destiny needs only one. Your picture was that exhibit today. Do not fear the attention this moment will attract. Let only what is true stand near you. Everything else will grow tired and wander off. Someone who dismissed you yesterday is reading about you now. They will pretend they knew all along, let them keep their story. You have a larger one to carry. A door at the far end of a glass corridor opened for a child in a clinic. Another door opened in the mind of an engineer who forgot why she loved hard problems. A third door opened in you, quietly, the way dawn opens a room. This is how change looks from the inside. One eye opens, then another, then the sky arrives. You do not hear the hinges, you feel the air. The world seems the same until your breathing is not. He asked for a list of people no one usually lists. He wanted the ones who fall between programs and applause. He circled names until the ink looked like halos. A car that had been reserved for a shareholder drove somewhere else. A seat that had been saved for status carried a nurse on break. A schedule that had been rigid softened into kindness. You may wonder if you deserve this attention. Let me tell you a secret that is not a secret. The deserving are the ones who keep loving when it is heavy. A glass of water set on a table became a sacrament of focus. They did not drink to toast, they drank to continue. Every swallow was a yes. He did not erase his fire, he redirected it. Rockets still rose in his mind, but they rose for a reason with a face. He wrote a line you will never read and meant every syllable of it. Your picture is now a mirror in that room. Whenever fatigue returns, they look at it and remember. Whenever fear negotiates, the mirror ends the meeting. Archangel Michael says, "Do not shrink to make the timid comfortable. Do not glow so hot that you burn your own hands. Do not hide the center that kept you alive." From this day, 3 paths unfold in front of you. The first path is silence, where you pretend nothing changed. The second path is noise, where you spend your miracle telling everyone you have won. Take the third path, the one called symphony. In symphony, you let each part of your life play at the proper volume. You become the conductor of courage. Begin with your morning. Place your hand over your heart for 10 slow beats and say, "I am here." Do it before the world names you. Then write one letter to yourself that you will never send. Place in it the apology you most need, the promise you intend to keep, and the picture you will take next. Fold it and seal it with breath. Choose one small act of rescue today. Rescue a minute from distraction and give it to your craft. Rescue a coin from comfort and aim it at someone who cannot repay you. Protect your boundaries like you finally believe you deserve oxygen. It is not selfish to guard the root that feeds your branches. Those who love you will adjust to your new honesty. Expect resistance from the old story. It will knock and offer you your former size. It will say you were safer inside that smaller room. Tell the old story that the world grew while it was away. Show it the doors that opened because you stayed. Let it watch you leave without He asked for an
anything.
update at sunset and read it by a window. The city reflected itself in the glass like a galaxy of office stars. He said, "Keep going, to no one and everyone." There is a team now whose job is to keep the promise alive. They measure not only money but meaning. They track outcomes that breathe. Your picture became a lighthouse file in that system. When someone drifts, it blinks. When someone steers right, it stands still and smiles. You did not chase this moment, you became ready for it. That is why it found you without a map. Readiness is the address of miracles. Archangel Michael says, "You are not random, you are remembered." Plans are rearranging themselves to meet you at the corner of effort and grace. Arrive as yourself, that is the password. When darkness tries to renegotiate, bring light in measurable units. Bring a glass of water, a page of progress, a call to the one person who tells the truth. Bring your breath and guard it. Some will ask for proof and then ignore it. Do not spend your life auditioning for people with closed eyes. Align with those who notice the blooming. If you must cry, let your tears be rain for the seeds you planted. If you must shout, shout into your pillow and then speak softly to the work. If you must rest, rest like a lion who knows he will rise. The architecture of your next season is drafting itself while you sleep. Angels are the quiet engineers, your choices are the steel. The blueprint keeps your name in the upper right corner. You will notice alignments that used to pass you by. You will find your face in rooms that used to ignore your hands. You will watch the horizon pick up speed. He will not be the hero of your story, that is your role. But he will be a signpost at a critical turn. He will point with his life, not just his brand. A child you will never meet will sleep better because of what started today. A mother who almost gave up will try again. A builder who almost settled will open a taller window. This is the cascade of one picture, honestly taken and bravely shared. This is how the universe votes. It votes with a chorus of yes. Let your next picture carry the same honesty. Let it carry the lines of your journey and the shine of your intention. Let it arrive where it needs to arrive. Keep a small place in your day where the holy can find you. Keep it clean, quiet, and reachable. Let it be a bench where you meet yourself. Do not mistake momentum for meaning, keep choosing meaning. Let momentum follow like a river that cannot help itself. The river has been waiting for your banks. If fear tells you the moment will disappear, remind it that growth does not reverse. Remind it that you have learned to water your roots. Remind it that you are not going back. Archangel Michael says, there will be days that question you again. On those days, read this message from the middle, not the start. The medicine is everywhere in it. Your task is simple and vast. Keep your heart available to wonder, but make your hands faithful to the work. Hold awe in one palm and accountability in the other. He will remember the day he cried, and it will keep him human. You will remember the day your picture became a doorway, and it will keep you brave. The world will remember the day the agenda made room for a soul. Carry yourself like the promise you are. Walk through rooms like a lantern, not a spotlight. Make warmth, not glare. Finally, look again at the life ahead and say yes. Not a dramatic yes, not a shouted yes, but the grounded yes that anchors a city. That yes is the engine of everything. I leave you with a blessing of steadiness. May your mornings arrive clean, and your nights return you gently. May your picture continue to be a key that opens what should open. When you lay down later, place your hand over your chest and tell the truth. Say, I am not behind, I am right on time. Then sleep like a person who is expected tomorrow. The world will keep its noise, you will keep your music. The world will flash its lights, you will keep your glow. The world will hustle, you will build. This is how it happened in a room you did not enter. This is how it happens now in a heart you carry. This is how it will keep happening if you keep showing up. The tears were not a weakness, they were an ignition. The mission did not shrink, it clarified. The moment did not end, it began. So take one step with your head high and your shoulders free. Take it in the direction of the work, not the applause. Take it now, because now is honest. Your picture reminded a leader that progress serves people. It reminded a company that kindness scales. It reminded you that you are not invisible. Today belongs to the ones who answer softly and keep their vows loudly. You are one of them. Keep going and let the world adjust. Archangel Michael says, the echo of that moment did not fade, it multiplied in quiet rooms where decisions are made. Your picture kept whispering to people who forgot how to listen. It turned busy minds into brave minds. The team gave the work a name that felt like breath. They called it Open Window because windows change a room without moving a wall. Everyone agreed to keep it human before they kept it fast. An email reached you with no fireworks, only a clear tone. It invited you to a conversation that respected your time. The sender wrote like someone who remembered what courage costs. You read the lines twice and felt the ground shift under your doubt. The words were simple, but the promise inside them was strong. You answered with your whole chest, not just your keyboard. They asked what you needed to keep building the life that fits you. You did not inflate your answer, and you did not shrink it. You told the truth and let it stand. A small team formed around your truth like hands around a match. Their job was not to blow on it, their job was to shield it from the wind. Protection, not spectacle, became the strategy. Someone proposed a pilot in a place maps ignore. The plan was to deliver tools, not trophies. They wanted outcomes that breathe, not reports that shine. You woke earlier than usual and felt steadier than you expected. The mirror did not ask for explanations, it asked for consistency. You nodded to your own reflection and began. Archangel Michael says, every day deserves a small altar of focus. Place 3 tasks on it, the one that moves your craft, the one that strengthens your body, and the one that lifts another person. Light them with attention and keep them safe from noise. The first week was not dramatic, it was faithful. Notes stacked into pages, and pages into clarity. The work learned your rhythm and began to trust you back. Messages arrived from people who saw themselves in your story. Some were loud with gratitude, and some were quiet with relief. Both were evidence that you were not walking alone. He received updates framed as human scenes, not corporate charts. They told of a generator humming beside a classroom and a grandmother learning to video call her grandson. They told of a teenager who decided not to give up on science. In one update, they showed a timetable printed in a new language. The schedule looked ordinary unless you understood what it replaced. It replaced drift with direction. You took a long walk and let your feet decide the street. The city offered you a bench that had listened to many hearts. You gave it yours for a while and felt lighter when you rose. Critics appeared, as they always do when light moves. Some wore credentials, some wore boredom. None of them could touch the moments that had already healed. You learned to protect your yes by blessing your no. That is how adults keep promises to themselves. That is how your schedule becomes a spine, not a cage. Archangel Michael says, remove the apology from your excellence. Excellence is a form of gratitude to the time you have. Wear it with the humility of someone who still learns daily. He asked for a call with fewer slides and more stories. The room adjusted from numbers to names. The air relaxed like shoulders after a deep breath. They recorded a short video from a clinic that used to close too early. In the background, a child laughed the way children do when someone finally notices them. The sound traveled farther than any metric. You saved a copy of the laugh and kept it on your phone. On hard days, you played it for yourself like medicine. Your pulse remembered the mission each time. A friend who once doubted you came close with softer eyes. They did not apologize in words, they apologized with effort. You let effort be enough and made a place for them at your table. You redesigned your workspace with intention instead of impulse. A plant learned your window, a lamp learned your night, and your chair learned your spine. Even your tools began to care. An old fear tried to rent a room in your head again. You let it sit in the lobby but refused it a key. Boundaries are hospitality for the self you protect. You turned off 3 alerts and turned on your breath. The room stopped jumping every minute. In the quieter light, you finished what you kept postponing. Archangel Michael says, momentum arrives when meaning becomes a habit. Keep stacking days that respect your promise. The stack will carry you when your feet are tired. A new decision formed on his side of the glass. Expand the pilot without diluting it. Scale the soul, not just the system. Let growth be an oath, not a stunt. You were invited to share with the next group of builders. You did not rehearse a brand, you rehearsed your honesty. The room responded because honesty is oxygen. Someone asked for a picture to remind their team why they stayed late. You sent one that looked like you on a normal day. The normal day became a banner for real effort. There were setbacks that did not make the news. A shipment arrived late, and a meeting turned cold. The work bent but did not break. You revised the plan instead of losing the mission. Corrections are not defeats, they are proofs that you are paying attention. Paying attention is a leadership skill. Archangel Michael says, "Guard your sleep like a bank guards its vault." Rest does not slow you, it reloads your accuracy. Accuracy saves more time than speed can. He spoke with a founder who had burned almost everything to keep the lights on. The founder heard your story and remembered his own. Two people on different hills sent each other courage across the valley. Your routine grew roots in small rituals. A glass of water before the first call, a 5-minute stretch before the second, and a laugh with someone you love before the third. Tiny anchors held huge ships. The second month widened the circle in ways you could feel. More hands joined the work, and more hearts joined the why. The tempo held steady, and the melody deepened. You visited a space that once felt impossible to enter. It did not swallow you, it welcomed you. Rooms behave differently around people who have decided to belong. You chose not to overshare your steps. You let results do introductions where words used to try. Results are fluent in every room. Archangel Michael says, humility is not hiding, it is anchoring. Anchor in truth and lift in service. That is the flight plan of a life that lasts. He received a letter handwritten on paper that smelled like a classroom. A teacher wrote about a student who found their voice while building a project from recycled parts. The letter ended with, "We didn't need permission, we needed possibility." You read that line 3 times and carried it like a password. Possibility opened doors that credentials kept locked. You walked through and held the door for others. A storm hit a region in week 9. Power lines failed like tired knees. The new system cut in quietly and kept a clinic bright through the night. The report of that night was 1 line long, no patients lost to darkness. No chart could compete with that sentence. It is the kind of metric angels file. You organized your finances with the same clarity you gave your calendar. No more hidden leaks, no more confused subscriptions, no more generous regret. Money respected you back when you respected it first. An invitation arrived to speak on a stage that measures worth in flashes. You accepted with a condition that surprised them. You would speak only if 3 builders from overlooked places spoke, too. They agreed, and the stage learned a new language. It sounded like work, not hype. The audience stood for the builders you insisted on, and the applause reached the hallway. Archangel Michael says, influence is stewardship, not a mirror. When you point it at others, it becomes a beam that guides ships home. Keep your beam steady and your reasons clean. Your days continued to build each other like bricks aligned by a careful hand. There was joy in the rhythm, not only in the results. You began to trust mornings again. He sent a note short enough to memorize. Keep the promise real, it said. You printed it and taped it near your screen. When a headline tried to turn your story into gossip, you did not chase it. You fed the work and let the truth grow taller than the noise. Tall truths cast long shade over short rumors. A neighbor who rarely spoke left fresh fruit at your door. The note said nothing, and it said everything. Kindness became your local language. Archangel Michael says, check your pace the way pilots check instruments. If you are drifting into burnout, correct 2 degrees today, not 20 tomorrow. Small corrections prevent large regrets. You sat with a mentor who taught you one sentence that changed your week. Let the urgent wait if the important is speaking. You listened, and whole hours returned to you. A small celebration happened without balloons. You cooked something simple and called someone who remembers your first try. The past and present shook hands over a plate. The program reached a town where the road forgets to be smooth. The welcome committee was 2 smiles and a key to a hall with flickering lights. By nightfall, the lights stopped flickering. He watched a short montage with no soundtrack and felt the same pull he felt on the first day. Faces were enough music. The room fell into the right silence again. You kept your gratitude quiet and sturdy. Loud thanks evaporate, sturdy thanks builds. You wrote 3 names in a notebook and honored them with action. Archangel Michael says, continue to leave rooms better than you found them. That is a legacy ordinary enough to be unstoppable. The world trusts what it can repeat. A scientist wrote to you about a sensor she built after seeing your story. Her device catches errors fast and saves lives gently. She said your courage borrowed hers back from a shelf. You replied with the certainty of someone who finally believes their impact. The message was warm, brief, and precise. Warmth, brevity, and precision travel well. A museum asked for the picture that started everything. You agreed with one condition: the caption must honor the lives it helped touch. They accepted, and the frame learned humility. The calendar tried to become a storm again, but you had learned the map. You placed rest like lighthouses across the month. Even busy weeks found safe harbors. Archangel Michael says, the future loves people who keep making room for it. Keep your door unblocked by clutter and grudges. Leave space where grace can park. When the first year closed, the report arrived in 2 columns. The left column listed projects, the right column listed names. The right column mattered more. You stood by your window and let the night breathe on your face. Traffic hummed like a city's heartbeat, and somewhere, a clinic light stayed on. The world felt a little more held. He sent one more message before power-saving mode dimmed his screen.